Chapter 13 details what happens after the event is over. This includes cleanup, promotions, media coverage, evaluation, and measuring economic impact. After every event, there's some cleanup to restore the facility to working order. The setup and breakdown portion of any event can be chaotic, and valuable items are susceptible to theft or loss. So during breakdown, rental equipment needs to go back to the rental agency, and vendors need to meet the standard of cleanliness that was outlined in the contract that they signed. Post-event promotions are a good way to stay in contact with consumers of your event. This is an example of the Women's Lacrosse World Cup Twitter contest they had after the event was over, in which they asked people to talk about their memories or post photos, and they were going to send them some swag. Post-event media coverage is another way to stay connected with consumers of the event. You can do this through news conferences, in which is a more formal setting, and they're conveying information to a targeted audience. Perhaps it's about the event that just happened, or perhaps it's about future events. Social media, as discussed on the previous slide, is another way to stay in contact. You can have contests, upload photos and videos to kind of keep that information fresh in people's minds. Meeting the sponsors is a key component after the event, so that you can discuss if they met their goals and objectives, if you met your goals and objectives, and provide some sort of metric in which you measure that to see if they did indeed get their return on their investment. There are various levels of event evaluation, from level 0, which is just providing a basic overview, such as the scope and volume of attendance, press coverage, and website traffic. Level 1 is reaction, satisfaction, and planned action, which is gathering information on what stakeholders thought of the planning process, marketing efforts, and facilities. Level 2 is a learning evaluation that measures the extent to which principles, facts, techniques, skills, and professional contact have been acquired during the sporting event. Level 3, application, measures the extent to which skills, knowledge, and professional contacts learned at the meeting, and if those were applied on the job. Level 4, it's when business, you monitor organizational improvements of business measures such as sales, costs, savings, work output, and quality changes. And then level 5 is the return on the investment. So for various stakeholders, you're calculating the ratio of benefits to costs. There are a few ways to do some evaluation in-game and of management during the game. The first is enter exit surveys with spectators or participants. You can also do a little bit of participant observation or interviews with people, just asking them a few questions. The key here is to keep it brief so you don't feel like you're burdening these people any more than you have to. In terms of staff evaluations, this helps maintain control over the success of the event and is helpful for their professional development. So benchmarking is a search for the best practices that will lead to exceptional performance through the implementation of those practices. So basically figuring out what's the best way to do things and are you meeting those benchmarks. Management by walking around is just as it sounds. You wander around the facility, you watch to see if people are doing their jobs. So is this volunteer placed where they need to be? Are they letting people throw stuff on the field and not paying attention? Are they facing the right direction? Customer surveys are also another way in which you can evaluate staff, or 360-degree evaluation, which includes a self-assessment, an assessment by coworkers, an assessment by the staff that supervises them, and so on. So formal feedback is provided to that person from all of those sources of evaluation. Budget and attendance are two ways to evaluate the event. If you're looking at the budget, you can look at return on the investment, which compares the cost of the event to the value measured in monetary benefits, or return on the event, which is used to identify the percentage of earnings returned to an event organization sponsoring the event based on marketing efforts. In terms of attendance, you can, if it's a single event, compare attendance to the previous year, or multiple events can be compared to one another. Paid attendance and turnstile counts are two ways to count the attendance. So how many people bought tickets versus how many people actually came to the game. In the planning process, when you are creating your outcomes, your goals, and objectives, you want to start and talk to all stakeholders, create some objectives, put those objectives in monetary value, financial value, tie the money spent into those objectives, and then measure them. So there's a real clear way in which you quantify your objectives and have a way to figure out if you reach them or not. Measuring economic impact is an important part of event management. This can be done in 4 ways. So organizations may look at direct spending, which includes the lodging, food, transportation, access to the event, and other things that people spend directly because they came in town for the event itself. Induced spending are things that the host organization or host committee may not have spent money on if the event didn't take place, like a new stadium. Indirect benefits of hosting a sporting event may include additional tourism to a destination. These implicit benefits are those that enhance the destination's image and could include quality of life, civic pride, and advertisements for the destination. After an event ends, it's important to maintain relationships with sponsors and consumers of the event, providing information via social media, utilizing evaluations and meetings to gain feedback from those stakeholders, along with staff and participants, will also help ID problem areas and successes, which then helps plan for future events.